Let me start by saying this. The opposition should not be tricked into using violence against their political opponents. And I'm saying that because it can't succeed in winning the violence war against the government. The government has the monopoly of violence. So if opposition decides to use violence, they will lose that war to the government side. The best the opposition should and can do is to maintain peace in their political activities. Two incidences happened today in Mbeere North constituency. We know there is a by-election there. Earlier in the morning, Rigathi and his team attended a church service in Ishiara, Mbeere North. And you know, in the village, watu wanajuana. Rigathi's team spotted a Leonard Muthende supporter who had also attended that church service. The man was beaten and kicked out of the church service simply because he's a known Leonard Muthende supporter. Leo is UDA's Mbeere North parliamentary candidate. And then later on in the day, in Chicago constituency, some government supporters were also confronted and beaten up simply because they were supporting UDA's candidate, Leo Muthende. So it's clear, either the opposition is being tricked into using violence so that the government can now deploy violence, or maybe the opposition is just naturally violent and they're just trying to exhibit their true colors. Let's have a look at the incidences as reported by Dennis Itumbi. Dennis Itumbi, two incidents on video. Number one, inside the church they picked Fred Tosh, a member of the church they were attending, and beat him up. Reason, he is a known supporter of Leonard Leo Muthende. The supporter was spotted, beaten up, and kicked out of the church. Number two, in Chicago town, our guys coming to the football match confronted and beaten up. Yani, Rigathi and team muendelee. Violence will not intimidate or stop the great people of Mbeere. Mbeere North has decided Leo ni Leo. And you are seeing the two videos there. Let's dig deep into this for Kenyans to see clearly what's happening here. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. What do you think is happening here, ladies and gentlemen? The first thing coming out clearly looking at the two incidences, Rigathi team is in a panic mode. The heat is just too much for them to bear. I'm saying that because if Rigathi's team loses that seat, then Rigathi will be done permanently on the mountain, and more so in Mount Kenya East. Mbeere is part of an area considered Mount Kenya East. If Rigathi's candidate loses that seat, then it will confirm beyond any reasonable doubt that indeed there exists a Mount Kenya West and Mount Kenya East. East leaning towards Kithure Kindiki and William Ruto, while West, the Kikuyus, are leaning towards Rigathi Gachagua. Reality is dawning on Rigathi Gachagua that the government's candidate, Leo Muthende, might be ahead in this race. And I'm talking of that because we've been looking at the opinion polls coming from that constituency. Leonard Wamuthende has got a slight lead over the opposition's candidate. And if that trend continues, then UDA's candidate is going to win that seat. That's the reality that might be dawning on Rigathi Gachagua's team. So in their disparate attempts, they are getting violent. That's the first thing coming out very clearly. They are sensing a possible defeat. But then again, I should not be misquoted or be misunderstood. Opinion polls do change. Any candidate can win in Mbeere North. Rigathi's candidate can win or UDA's candidate can win. The two candidates are very strong on the ground. Rigathi was forced to drop his weak candidate in order to support a DP strong candidate, Karish. So Karish is a very strong candidate. That's why Rigathi had to drop his candidate to support him. He was stronger than Rigathi's candidate. If he loses that seat, that loss will be attributed directly to Rigathi Gachagua and his team. The second thing I'm seeing here, some days back, we saw and heard Rigathi saying that he's going to stay in Mbeere till after the by-election is over. And Rigathi warned that visitors were not welcomed in Mbeere North. I did explain that that was an incitement, though some here never understood me. I said Rigathi was inciting Mbeere residents to violence. These are just the outcomes of Rigathi Gachagua's incitements. When I say Rigathi is insightful, it's not that I hate Rigathi Gachagua. The truth is, Rigathi is full of bitterness, hate, and revenge. That's largely how Rigathi has always played his politics. Hii watu wa kurusha mawe, hii Raila na baba yake wamesumbua Kenya. This is the time we must deal with Raila Odinga once and for all with finality. Rigathi has always used such remarks. And even today, if you listen on how Rigathi speaks, you are just seeing a very bitter man, a man who, should he get power, then he can wipe out an entire community. What we are witnessing in Mbeere North, those are just the outcomes of Rigathi's incitements. Thirdly, though this is a remote possibility, it can also be stage managed by the government side. They might have staged those two incidences, though that's a very remote possibility. Out of 100%, maybe a 1% possibility. Yes, but the two reasons are clearly what might have happened. Rigathi's team sensing defeat, so they are trying to use violence to intimidate their strong opponents. Or Mbeere residents and more so, those supporting the opposition are just heeding to Rigathi Gachagwa's call of violence. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Any person watching us outside Kenya, drop a comment, let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.